Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today on why you should upgrade your Dynamics GP. My name is Alexis Batulis, and I'll be hosting our session. Today's webinar will be covering the why, when, what, where, who, and how of all things GP upgrade related, including the types of upgrades, supported versions, and the upgrade process. Today's presenter is Lori Ritzer. Lori works exclusively as the lead GP upgrade project manager here at Columbus. She has extensive knowledge and over 30 years experience as both a project manager and developer for open system software, Microsoft Dynamics GP and NAV here at Columbus Global. She's here today to explain why you should upgrade your Microsoft Dynamics GP software to best leverage your investment. At the end of our session today, we'll have a short Q&A to answer any questions you might have. Please enter and submit all questions through the control panel on the upper right hand of your screen, including the slide number or title as a reference. And with that, I'll hand it off to you, Lori.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Alexis, for the nice introduction. As Alexis said, I'm a senior project manager. A little bit more about myself. I joined the company back in 1989 as a developer, and over 15 years ago, changed roles to a project manager. For the last 6 years, I've exclusively worked with GP upgrades. So I'm very passionate about the subject. That's why my practice director asked me to do a webinar discussing why you should upgrade your GP. Before I go any further, Alexis, do I sound okay?
Yep, sound good.
All right, thank you. So why should you upgrade? There are a number of different reasons why, but I'm going to discuss the main reasons clients come to me regarding an upgrade. New features is one of the top reasons why clients are looking to upgrade. In fact, Spring Walker from Columbus did a webinar on January 21st of the latest new features. If you would like to view her webinar, email us and we'll get it over to you. Also, Microsoft uses the top requests submitted by customers for new features for each version that they put out. So it's very important that if you would like to see certain changes, that you submit your requests. ISV products, also called third-party products, is a good time to upgrade as well when you want to add or delete them. Next, if you are experiencing a GP issue, there's a chance a service pack or a hotfix would resolve that issue. But upgrading to a newer version would resolve the issue as well and give you new features at the same time. Compliance updates apply to you if you run payroll, AP 1099s, or fixed asset depreciations. These are released at the end of the year as well as throughout the year as the government sees fit. You can reduce costs by staying current and not falling versions behind, as well as staying current with your software maintenance renewals, which means no late fees. And finally, support. GP, SQL, operating systems, Office, they all have ending support dates. This is really important, so let's talk about them more. Microsoft has changed their naming convention of GP, starting with the October 2019 release. So instead of GP 2018, for example, it is known simply as Microsoft Dynamics GP. For me as an upgrade PM, I still need to reference the version/build, so I know the upgrade path to plan for. This means GP 2018 was 18.00 point whatever the build was. The October 2019 release is 18.2 point and then whatever the build is. And this coming October 2020 release is supposed to be 18.3, just so you kind of get an idea of what the versions are and what they relate to. With the Microsoft Dynamics GP October release, they have introduced the modern policy, which offers continuous support and servicing, including bug fixes, new features, and the latest tax updates. Customers may stay current by taking at least one of the 3 yearly planned releases. Microsoft has committed to 3 updates per year, released in October, June, and November, with additional updates as needed. The Modern Lifecycle policy covers products and services that are serviced and supported continuously. Under this policy, the product or service remains in support if the following criteria are met. Customers must stay current as per the servicing and system requirements published for the product or service. Customers must be licensed to use the product or service. And finally, Microsoft must currently offer support for the product or service. For GP versions 2018 and older, they will remain under the existing lifecycle policy, as shown in this chart. Microsoft will continue to provide servicing and support for a fixed amount of time. The first column shows all the GP versions that fall in the old lifecycle policy. The important one to note here is GP 2015. Mainstream support ends April of this year. This is especially important for clients that need year-end updates to stay compliant. Some of you are probably wondering, what is mainstream support versus extended support? Mainstream support basically means Microsoft will no longer produce service packs, including year-end updates, though they do still support the version. Extended support is when Microsoft will no longer support the version. However, Columbus will still support any version you are running, but if we need to go to Microsoft for assistance, they will not help if you pass the extended support date. Then you have your supporting underlying products such as Windows Server operating systems. At the lifecycle start date, mainstream support begins. During this time, customers receive full support for their product. It includes performance and security updates and enhancements to the system. When mainstream support ends, extended support begins. In this phase, Microsoft focuses only on providing updates that address security vulnerabilities or concerns. Once you have passed the end of extended date, you run the risk of cyber attacks because you no longer receive those security updates. The important one to note here is the row highlighted in green. Windows Server 2008 R2 has passed its end-of-life extended date. You also have an end of life for your SQL Server. The end of extended date has passed for SQL Server 2008 and 2008 R2, as you see here highlighted in green. This chart shows us which SQL versions in the first column to the far left are supported for the various GP versions in the top row across the top. As you can see in the last column, the GP October 2019 column, it is the only GP version that supports SQL 2019, Windows Server 2019, and Office 2019. This chart shows us which Office versions in the first column to the far left are supported for the various GP versions in the row across the top. Your Office products that you may use with GP are things like Outlook for emailing, exporting to Excel, and Word templates. We have found that older versions of Office may work with a newer GP version. However, you will lose some of these capabilities that I just mentioned. And FYI, I don't have it on this chart, but Office 2010 hits their end of life this coming October. When is a good time to upgrade? Of course, before support ends, so you continue to get supported from Microsoft. Implementation of a new module or a new feature or a new ISV product. This way you can test it out before you go live. When you have failing or old hardware, but it is best before it gets too bad. Otherwise, if you wait too long, then there's a sense of urgency on an upgrade, which also adds risk. Also, when you get new hardware, is a great time. You may think, I will just move my existing GP to the new server and it'll be cheaper. Well, yes, it may be, but only slightly. It's a perfect time to upgrade your GP with little extra expense. Because a server migration and an upgrade require some of the same tasks. That new server could also mean migrating to the cloud, like Azure. And finally, every hop that needs to happen involves more costs. So what is a hop, you ask? Well, Microsoft allows one version to be skipped when performing an upgrade. Skipping one version would mean you could potentially go from, say, GP 2015 to GP 2018, skipping GP 2016. And then from GP 2018, hop to the latest version, 18.2. So this would be 2 total hops. What gets upgraded? Well, all your GP companies, your customizations, your custom reports, including your financial reports, and your third-party products. Many times during the upgrade, I hear that clients want to delete companies they no longer use. And yes, an upgrade is a good time to do that. But the thing to keep in mind before deleting those companies is that once it is removed, you would not be able to access data again. Meaning, if you got audited, you cannot inquire on the data or run reports because the data no longer exists. Also, FRX will get migrated to Management Reporter. Or if you're already on Management Reporter, we apply the latest cumulative update. A new SQL Server is normally required with a GP upgrade because the SQL Server that you're currently on will most likely be outdated and doesn't meet system requirements. As well as the operating system may need to be updated, and the workstations may possibly need a newer version of Office. Where should the upgrade happen? We highly recommend doing a test upgrade to a new server that will become the production server. This way, there is less downtime and less risk. During the test upgrade, we install the software, upgrade databases, update the reports, all while your users continue to work in your current production GP without even knowing we are busy working away on a new server. Then, when we complete the test upgrade, we turn it back over to you to do validation, and UAT starts as well. And we begin training in that test environment too. After all users' questions and issues are taken care of, so the level of risk is reduced, then we upgrade your databases again for the live upgrade. This is when users will need to be out of GP, but there's less downtime because we don't need to install software again or update reports again. When we are done, this now becomes the new GP production environment, and the old GP server can be decommissioned or repurposed. An upgrade to an existing server or to skip a test upgrade and only do the live upgrade, you may encounter more risks due to the unknown as well as more downtime, because everything, the installation of the software, issue resolution, etc., is all happening at that one time. And last of all, remote versus on-site. In this day and age, 99% of our upgrades and training sessions happen remotely. Our consultants can be on site, but then travel expenses are incurred. Who can do the upgrade? With our professional services team performing the upgrade, you benefit from the many years of experience we have. We do have a few clients that perform their own upgrades and updates, but keep in mind, depending on your user's experience, it can take longer to complete and end up costing you more in the long run. Any issues that they may run into or any questions they may have would be directed to our support team. Our technical consultants are the resources that make database backups and restores, install the software, and upgrade the databases. Our functional consultants are the resources that provide training and assist with most of the questions and issues. Excuse me. A project manager, such as myself, I believe is an essential component of a project, which includes communication, planning, facilitating, delegating, research, analysis, follow-up, just to name a few of my many tasks. And client stakeholders would include people like a project manager on the client side to schedule human and system resources, someone in IT to assist with servers and connection, and finally users for testing. How does Columbus do upgrades? Well, if you follow this chart, I'll kind of walk you through how we do it. First, we start with discovery of your GP environment that you currently have and where you want to get to. Then we put together a project plan for your specific GP upgrade and put that into a statement of work as a deliverable to you. It contains the hours and the cost associated to your upgrade. With a signature on that statement of work, then we put that plan into motion and begin the execution of your upgrade by putting dates on calendars. Once we are done with the test upgrade, then users can begin testing in the new GP environment, and we perform new features training. After users' questions are answered and issues are resolved, then we perform the live upgrade. During a live upgrade is when users need to be out of GP. There should be very little go live support because the expectation is that the user testing was completed and it was done thoroughly. Finally, we close the upgrade project when things are running smoothly. And once the project is closed, it is safe to move on to your next project that you may have on your wish list. This concludes my presentation of why you should upgrade your GP.
All right, great. Thank you, Lori. Now we will close our discussion today with a Q&A. If you haven't yet entered your questions, please enter them now in the control panel. All right, looks like we have a couple questions here. So we'll start with the first one. Okay, Lori, how long will the upgrade take? Will there be any system downtime?
Yeah, let me go back to this slide where I kind of went through that. Typically, a upgrade takes about 4 weeks, typically, from the date we do the test upgrade to the date we do the live upgrade. Normally, I have clients that want to do a testing, do UAT on a month end. So that 4-week span usually gives them amount of time to do that. Also, there's blackout dates that we need to consider, you know, if payroll is being run, if AP checks are being run, vacations, holidays, that sort of thing, I consider blackout dates. So we have to keep that all in mind when we're scheduling an upgrade, but typically 4 weeks. And what was the other question?
We have one. What if our host system is with a third party? How do test upgrades work with that?
It's the same thing. When I view a new server, it doesn't really matter to me where that new server is. That new server can be on-prem, it can be hosted, it can be in the cloud. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a new server. And a new server is an ideal situation to be in when doing an upgrade because we can do everything on that new server, get it installed, upgrade the databases, like I said, do UAT, do training, and then that new server would become the production server wherever it resides. Now, there may be some tasks that your hosting provider would want to do themselves. It's just something that we need to talk about in the project planning phase.
All right, great. And I have a question here on cost. What is the cost of the upgrade?
I get that all the time. It's really hard for me to just throw out a cost because it depends on your upgrade. That's why we do discovery. Back on this slide, the very first little blue circle there, discovery. This way we check to see what versions of different products that you have and what we would have to upgrade it to, what third-party products you have, what customizations you might have, what integrations, what custom reports, all sorts of things. How many companies? How big are those companies? Everything plays a factor into that cost. So I really can't throw out a cost until I know more from discovery. And what we do is that discovery phase, that first blue circle there, that's non-billable to clients. It's for me to have an idea, a good idea of, so I can put that project plan together with facts instead of assumptions.
Great. I have another question here. We are currently operating GP 2013. How many hops would we need to get current? What would the time frame be?
Okay, so GP 2013, it does depend on the build, because if you're on an older build of GP 2013, it may need to be service packed. But in general, if you were on a newer build of GP 2013, you could go 2013 to 2016, skipping 2015, and then from 2016 to 18.2, which is that October release of GP. That all depends on what build you're on of GP 2013. So at least 2 hops. There might be a third one in there.
Great. Have another one. What are some of the key features and advantages of upgrading other than support from Microsoft?
Well, the features, I would direct you back to Spring's webinar from January. She has a really great webinar, just like what I did. And she went over the new features of GP 18.2. As part of my process, when I start talking to clients about upgrades, I do send you an email with all the what's new features for every version of GP that you would be behind on. I also include a link for the system requirements that would be required for the new GP that you would be going to as well.
All right, great. And we have a question on getting a copy of the slides. So what I would recommend is that for anybody who'd be interested in seeing Spring's webinar, as well as getting a copy of the slides, you can reach out to Lori here. We can put up her contact information here on the slide. There. So thank you everyone for your questions and attention. If you'd like to discuss this further, please write down the contact information here so you can reach out to Lori. Thanks everyone for attending. This session has been recorded, so if you'd also like to share this with your colleagues, please reach out to receive a link or a PDF. And also be sure to check out our upcoming webinars at columbusglobal.com under the Events tab. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.